This case is one that seems to be very polarizing depending on what side you want to believe. Some people hear the details of this case and think that this teenage girl is a cold-blooded killer. Others think this was all an accident and believe that she was desperate and in way over her head. But regardless of what you think, this is a tragic case that never should have happened the way that it did, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this one. But before we get into the case, I just received another package from Magic Mind, and I was so excited because I know their mental performance shots are so helpful in helping me stay focused when researching cases like this one. Magic Mind is a mental performance shot that helps you think better and faster while helping you to reduce overall stress. They give you 100% of your daily vitamin C and D per bottle, which helps me stay more focused, mentally clear, and more productive throughout each day. I've been taking Magic Mind for a few months now, and I've noticed a huge difference with my productivity. I definitely feel like I can get through my day more focused without that exhausting caffeine crash that normally happens. I have so much going on in my life right now, taking me so many different directions. It's so important that I can stay focused, and I feel like Magic Mind has really helped my productivity skyrocket. So if you want to keep your mind clear and stay focused, give Magic Mind a try out for yourself. For the next 10 days, you can get up to 48% off your first subscription when you head to magicmind.com/RachelShannon and use code RS20. Once again, that's magicmind.com/RachelShannon using code RS20 for up to 48% off your first subscription at Magic Mind. With that being said, let's get into the case. Skyler Richardson is the daughter of Kim and Scott Richardson, and she has a younger brother, Jackson. The family were living your typical middle-class life in Carlisle, Ohio. Most people knew each other, and if you were born there, chances are you stayed there, worked there, and raised your family there. Both Skyler and Jackson played sports growing up, with Jackson in football and Skyler on the cheerleading team. It was said that Skyler excelled in her sport. She was a flyer, meaning that she would be the one lifted into the air doing those cool poses and stretches before being lowered to the ground. Those around Skyler felt that she was the perfect flyer. She was tiny and skinny, easy to lift up and toss up into the air. But as much as Skyler loved her sport and loved doing it, she felt a lot of pressure to maintain her small stature and stay as thin as possible. By the time she was in middle school, as so many young girls do, Skyler became obsessed with her weight and would do anything possible to become smaller and smaller. This started as her restricting her food intake. Then she started starving herself. Even things like chewing gum and toothpaste she refused to consume because it had a few calories in it. Then, when she did inevitably eat because she was starving her body, she would feel extreme guilt and would make herself throw up. This became a vicious cycle for the years that followed. She became consumed with her body image. It's all she thought about 95% of the time. It was a constant battle for her, and those around her, especially her family, they started to notice. Of course, it was said that her family wanted to help Skyler with her issue, but this is such a sensitive topic, and you obviously need to go about it the right way when you're trying to help someone. If you say the wrong thing or go about it the wrong way, it can have the opposite effect. It can make someone's eating disorder worse. Kim and Scott noticed that even bringing up anything related to food made Skyler shut down. She was very guarded and kept a lot to herself. Skyler's parents started taking her to different doctors who sent her to therapists and nutritionists. Through that, she was diagnosed with body dysmorphia, which is when someone obsesses over a perceived flaw within their body and may take on some unhealthy behaviors to cope with it. This was something that Skyler has struggled with for years and still struggles with to this day. But by July of 2016, the summer before her senior year, Skyler started dating another teenager, Trey Johnson, who was the cousin of one of her close friends. This relationship only lasted a month before the two broke up. Then by January of 2017, she started another relationship with a junior named Brandon. According to Skyler's parents, after starting this new relationship, Skyler seemed happy. Her and Brandon seemed to click, and Skyler really liked being with him. It was around this time when Kim and Scott noticed that Skyler was finally starting to put on some weight. This made them so happy to see, thinking that Skyler's mental health was improving, which was helping her get her eating disorder under control. A few months later, by March of 2017, Skyler went on a vacation with her family where she wore a swimsuit. Once again, her parents were happy to see that she looked healthy. She seemed to be really happy. She was in a healthy relationship with Brandon, who she cared deeply about as well. But this ongoing relationship with her high school sweetheart prompted Kim to have a talk with her daughter. Kim was well aware of what high schoolers do together when they're in a relationship like this. She wasn't naive to the fact that her daughter was probably sexually active, so she scheduled her an appointment with the gynecologist to get her started on birth control. By late April, Kim and Skyler went to her first appointment together. By this point, Skyler was freshly 18, so she got to go in by herself while her mom waited outside. The purpose of this visit was to get a general checkup and to get her a prescription for birth control. But after Skyler came out of that appointment, Kim noticed that she had been crying. She asked her what made her so upset, but Skyler just said that she was overwhelmed and stressed out from her first gynecologist appointment. After all, your first of these kinds of appointments can truly be terrifying. So Kim chalked up the crying to her just being emotional after her first appointment. Almost a week later, by May 5th, 2017, Skyler excitedly put on her tight red lace-up dress. She did her hair, makeup, and nails, and went off to prom with Brandon. The night went as expected. Even though Skyler complained of a stomachache that night, it wasn't so bad that it kept her from participating in prom. Then, the following day, Skyler and her family took Brandon to a baseball game for his birthday. Once again, Skyler said that her stomach hurt, but she still went to the game because she still wanted to celebrate Brandon's birthday. A few weeks later, Skyler graduated from Carlisle High School with plans to attend the University of Cincinnati that fall. She was so excited about her future, looking forward to all of the amazing things she had ahead of her. But then, by July 14th, 2017, everything in Skyler's life and the lives of her family would forever be changed. Police contacted Skyler's father, asking him to bring her into the station in relation to something she may have witnessed, saying that she wasn't in trouble. They just wanted to talk to her. So, Scott drove Skyler to the station where she was interviewed by police. Skyler asked why she was there, and officers told her that it was in relation to a call they got regarding a stillborn that may have been buried in the backyard. Immediately, Skyler started crying. They explained to her that they got a call from the gynecologist saying that on April 26th, she found out she was pregnant. She then went back to the gynecologist later and told the doctor that something happened. At this point in the police interview, Skyler just started telling officers everything that happened. As I stated, when she went to that appointment with her mother to get birth control, she actually found out she was already pregnant. But she was embarrassed and didn't want to tell anyone. So she came out of the doctor's office after crying, but didn't tell her mother why. She then went about her life, going to prom as normal, trying to ignore the fact that she was growing a baby. Then, by around 3 a.m. in the early morning hours of May 7th, 2017, Skyler said that she got up because she thought she had to pee. She sat on the toilet, but that is when she gave birth to a baby girl in that toilet. She sat there in shock for a few minutes before turning around and grabbing the baby from the toilet. She wrapped her in a towel and held her, but at that time, she realized that the baby wasn't breathing. She cradled her for hours and waited to see if she would breathe or open her eyes, but she just wouldn't. She wasn't breathing, and she didn't have a heartbeat. She was a stillborn. Skyler emphasized in this interview that she didn't hurt the baby. She didn't kill her. She was already gone when she was born.
We can't help but wonder, and need to talk to you about the possibility of, did you help yourself with an abortion, to help, You would never use
No, I swear.
I'm not saying that you did, but I'm, just follow me. The reason we've got to talk about this a little bit is because I know that this wasn't planned, it wasn't expected, and the medical staff, they were actually concerned when you left that day. You found out that you were going to get an abortion or try to give yourself one possibly just as a result of, because this wasn't, what you planned and expected or anything. But you're saying that there was nothing like that. Let me ask you this: Did you ever think about it?
I mean, I'll be honest, I thought about when they told me I was pregnant, I asked if I could not have it, like if I could get an abortion, but I was too far along.
They said because you were too far along. Okay, which I understand that. My daughter thought about it.
I promise I didn't try and kill her.
Okay, that's what we're trying to figure out.
That's what this is about.
And I don't think I guess I'm not meaning to say, did you try to kill her? I'm just asking you if you, considered giving yourself an abortion, because that happens a lot.
Okay.
That people give themselves an abortion.
I did not try and kill my baby.
So what did you find out when you looked up how to have an abortion?
Nothing that even sounded relevant, really nothing.
Okay.
Once she realized she wasn't going to be able to save her baby, she made the decision to bury her in the backyard. She cleaned up the bathroom as best as she could, then carried the baby downstairs and outside. She went into the garage and got a small shovel, then dug a shallow hole in the backyard near the edge of the yard in a spot where she'd be able to see it from her room. She placed the baby in that hole, burying her. She then put a flower on her body before placing a planter pot over the grave to mark the spot. At this point, she didn't want anyone to know what happened, but she was faced with the reality that her parents were inevitably going to find out what happened.
So just kind of help me, walk through this. So what did you do? I guess, is your bedroom upstairs or bathroom upstairs? Okay, so you had to walk downstairs?
I had to clean myself up a little.
Are you carrying her?
Yes.
Did you go into the garage, or do you have an outdoor shed where you have a shovel?
I got out of my garage.
Okay. What did you find, or what did you use?
I just got a shovel and I just put a little hole in my backyard and put her in it.
Okay, I understand. What did you do? Did you have, and you didn't have any help, right? Okay. What did you do with her while you were digging the hole?
I set her down.
Was she outside with you? Were you worried that anybody was going to see?
Yeah, I should have told my mom. She could have asked me.
I understand, but I mean, what? Was it daytime?
No, it was the middle of the night.
Oh, it was the middle of the night?
Very, very early in the morning, nighttime.
Did it wake you up like you felt like something was...
I didn't sleep that night.
Oh, you didn't sleep, okay. Could you already feel like something was going on with her?
I know.
Okay. So this was the middle of the night. Were your parents home?
Yeah, they were asleep.
They were asleep.
They didn't hear me. They didn't hear me.
Did the dogs hear you or anything?
I left my dog upstairs.
Okay. So you take her with you. How far down do you think that you dug?
Not that deep.
I'm sorry?
Not that deep.
Not that
I
deep?
wasn't strong enough. I hurt really bad.
Well, and that's what one reason I asked that is because I know the ground can be pretty hard, and you're trying to do it by yourself. You're upset. It's horrible. You just had a shovel, right? And you didn't have a pick to help break stuff up or anything.
Too.
Oh, a little shovel?
I tried as much.
Did you place her in the hole? Okay. Was she still in the towel?
No, I took her out of the towel.
You took her out of the towel? Did you lay anything down there in the dirt, or was it just the dirt?
It's just her.
Just the dirt. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to figure out and try to picture. And then you covered her up with dirt, right? And then what did you do as far as, did you do anything else? And the only reason, I guess, were you worried that someone was going to notice that or see that? Or?
Yeah, I planned to eventually tell my parents.
Yeah. What part of your yard is it in?
It's the backyard, the very back of my...
Right, okay.
Am I in trouble for
Did you, well, wait, stay with me for just a second. Did you ever get a chance to plant flowers yet or anything?
I just found some, I put them on her.
You did?
I flowers, I put them on her.
You put them on there? Okay. Are they still there, or was that back when it happened?
Back when it happened.
That was back when it happened.
After the interview, her parents did get to see her, and there, Skyler apologized for what happened. Her parents tried their best to comfort her in that moment, saying that she should have just told them. There, she said that she wanted to name the baby Annabelle, and revealed that the father of the baby was her ex-boyfriend, Trey.
I know.
If you had just told us.
Kids get pregnant every day. Pregnancy is not the end of the world.
I'm so sorry.
We love him.
What did they tell you?
I think they want to know if I killed it myself.
Yeah, you'll go to jail.
I didn't though. But that's the thing. I know.
You know, but they can't tell that.
I promised them I didn't do anything.
Who's the father?
Trey, that guy I used to date a long time ago.
But it would have been so much better had you told us. So much better. And I don't know what's going to happen next.
I didn't.
Honey, please stop. That doesn't help. You did a horrible thing.
I didn't kill her.
You got pregnant. You had a baby in our house, and you never told us.
I couldn't.
Yes, you should have. Do you understand how much worse this is than that would have been? That's what we're trying to grasp. Because we were thinking that we were trying to do the things that were right for you, and they went horribly wrong.
Based on this interview with Skyler, that same day, officers went to the home to exhume the body of the baby that had been buried there. They found the planter pot, and underneath it, they found a shallow grave. They described that the hole was very shallow, and the dirt had basically just been dusted on top of it. There, they could smell that something had been decomposing, and there wasn't much left. They removed the skeletal remains of a newborn baby out of the ground. That's all that was left of this little girl. After this horrific discovery, the remains were sent to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy. There, it was found that the baby suffered a total of 6 skull fractures, which had been sustained after the baby had died. Other than that, however, the medical examiner didn't find any other evidence to determine exactly how the baby died or even if she was alive when she was born. What she did end up discovering was that it appeared that small parts of the bones appeared to be charred in some places, as if she had been burned. Based on the previous interview Skyler did with police, as well as the results of the autopsy, the medical examiner determined that the manner of death was homicidal violence, though she could not determine exactly how that baby died. Something that did stand out to me was the fact that the baby had 6 skull fractures after she had died, so that could line up with Skyler's story that she was not alive when she was born and fell into the toilet. That could match up with that. It could also match up with she was alive, she was killed, and then maybe she dropped her, or being in the ground and having the weight of that planter pot on top of her fractured her skull. Babies' heads are, of course, very, very fragile, so there's so many different possibilities for how she could have sustained these skull fractures. After the autopsy was complete by July 20th, Skyler was taken in for a second interview. There, officers told Skyler that they know there's more to the story. They held her hand and asked her to tell them exactly what happened because the autopsy revealed more information. They said that they know what happened to the baby, but now they need her to tell them the truth. They said they knew there had been some signs that she was alive when she was born. By this point, they're referring to the baby by her given name, Annabelle. They said that her parents are asking for the baby's remains because they want to give her a proper burial, but they aren't able to until their investigation is over. The investigation can't be over until Skyler tells them what happened. After some pushing, Skyler eventually started to talk more. She ultimately admitted that when Annabelle was born, she fell into the toilet and may have actually hit her head. At the same time, she also may have made a little bit of noise. She may have let out a little gurgle sound as she was coming out, but Skyler wasn't sure. She then said that she may have seen the baby moving her arms a little bit, but also was not sure. She said that when she picked the baby up out of the toilet, she's afraid that she may have squeezed her a little too hard on her chest when she was trying to check her heartbeat, that maybe it did hurt her. But she isn't exactly sure what ended up causing her death. She hardly looked at Annabelle after the birth, so there's a lot of information Skyler truly just doesn't know. Then, officers told Skyler that the bones they found had been burned in some spots. They said that there had to have been a fire of some sort of heat applied to the baby's bones. Skyler denied having burned her, saying that she was sure of that. She denied setting fire to that baby numerous times throughout that interview. But the officers suggested that maybe it wasn't done out of malice. Maybe she burned her so she could have her ashes. Lots of people will have loved ones cremated so that they can keep their loved ones close. At that point, Skyler said that maybe she did try to burn the baby just a little bit.
And they have a lot of evidence that they have presented to us where they know now from a medically scientific certainty, they know there were other things that happened. So I want to know if you want to tell us, more of the truth about what happened, because we know there was a lot more.
You are not the only 18-year-old girl who's been in this situation, that it was too late to have an abortion, and your entire life is about to be fucked, okay? So just breathe. But the important thing that matters is not me, not you, not him. What matters is her, okay? I think that you want to give her a proper burial and you want to give her a proper final resting situation, but in order to do that, we need to know everything, okay? You cannot go back and change anything that you did, but we can have it out there and we can just say it, okay? Okay. Is it possible that she maybe breathed a little bit, like maybe, before? Maybe. Okay. So you tried to get the cord off and couldn't? So was there a time, because I've had a baby, he has not, but I have. So there's not just the baby that comes out, there's a whole lot of other crap that comes out. So is it possible that, because you were on the toilet when you had her? Okay, is it possible that she went down in the toilet for a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
I tried to catch her, but I couldn't.
There's no way you can, she's too slippery, you can't catch her.
I just my other head a little.
Okay. When you said maybe she hit her head, did you hear something that maybe made you think that?
She just plopped out.
Yeah, they come out pretty fast, especially when you're young.
So I think she did hit her head.
Okay.
Let's start there. So now you have picked her out from the toilet and you wrapped her in a towel and held her easily. And just be truthful now. Let's go from there and go with the rest.
But listen, you said something really interesting. You said, I think maybe I held her too tight. Tell me what that means.
I didn't think she was breathing, and I think I squeezed her too hard.
Okay.
But it was because I was
I know. It's okay. It's okay. You can't. It's okay. You were trying.
I think that might have killed her.
Okay. Okay.
I think I killed her. I think I killed her on purpose.
No one said, Skyler, no one believes that.
Just squeezed her.
Skyler,
I loved her.
no one believes that you would do anything to her on purpose. No one believes it. Okay?
I'm gonna go see you.
Listen to me.
Wait, sweetheart, we are just...
Those are not questions we can answer for you right now.
We're in the same place. We just are still, you're talking about a lot of the different stuff so we're just still trying to do right by her. We're so focused, like Brandy said, it's not me or you or
Did you know her
Brandy
name?
that's important.
What's her name? Annabelle. Okay, so let's not calling her Annabelle. Okay. All right, so it's about Annabelle, okay? You think that's when she died?
Maybe.
Okay. Do you think maybe she could have been in the toilet, or?
Yeah, maybe because her spotting in April, early April, it was spotting.
Okay. Well, there's some evidence to show that there was some burning on her.
Didn't burn her. I promise on anything I didn't burn her. My dad has lots of bonfires, but I didn't burn her.
There was some charring and stuff on some of her bones, so.
I didn't burn her.
Are you sure?
I swear on anything.
You're sure?
That I'm sure of. I'm sure of.
You didn't did you burn anything around her? Did you try to maybe melt the dirt or anything?
No.
Was there any reason for any of that?
No.
And we know it wasn't this horrifically weird, thing that you might have seen on some Lifetime movie that you guys like to watch, but this is a thing where I truly believe that there was an attempt maybe for cremation, because if you cremate someone, they have ashes. I have my mom's ashes. I like to keep them close to me. It's very important to me to have those. It makes me feel like she's still here, kind of. So I know you put her in the backyard so she would be close to you, but, ashes you can carry around. So that's kind of where my thinking is. But we already know that there was some sort of heat, fire element. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there, but I know there was because the bones were charred. And it wasn't something that, someone else could have done because no one else knew she was there except you. And you've had to carry this all by yourself this whole time and do it all yourself with no help. So, don't think that we're going to judge you. Don't think that we're going to think you're some horrible person. I think I know where your heart and mind were, with the fire, whatever it was. I think I know where your heart and mind were, but you have to tell us because I can't assume that I know you that well. So no one's judging whatever you chose to do then. Okay, we just need to know what happened with the fire. That's all.
Then, a little over an hour after the interview started, officers left and her parents came in to speak with her. At that time, she told her parents that she may have tried to cremate the baby just a little bit. Her father, Scott, was obviously shocked at this and asked her if the baby was alive when she delivered her, and Skyler said that she was. Based on the second interview and everything else they've discovered up to this point, Skyler was then arrested and charged with reckless homicide. She posted bail, then spent the following weeks at home with her parents. But then, by August 4th, Skyler went in front of a grand jury where she was now being indicted on charges of aggravated murder, involuntary manslaughter, child endangerment, tampering with evidence, and abuse of a corpse. At this point, she was held in jail for the weekend until her family was finally able to gather the $50,000 for her bail, which they eventually posted once again. For the 2 years that followed, life for the Richardson family just got harder and harder. They were the subject of a media storm, with people from all over the area showing up at their home and trying to get a glimpse of this 18-year-old teenager who murdered her own baby in cold blood. It was just a mess. Finally, by September of 2019, the trial for murder started. There, the prosecution outlined the timeline of everything that happened in this case. In August of 2016, Skyler was dating Trey Johnson, with whom she had sex 2 times, once without protection. That is when she fell pregnant. She then went about her life for the following months, having no idea she was pregnant because, as we stated earlier, she had a severe eating disorder. So yes, she was missing periods and was probably experiencing some symptoms of pregnancy. But it didn't concern Skyler because the side effects of being underweight and lacking nutrition can also cause missed periods and feeling sick all the time. But then, by April 26, 2017, Skyler's doctor confirmed that she is pregnant. Her doctor told her that she was about 32 weeks at the time, saying that she would be delivering the baby within weeks. Her doctor, Dr. William Andrew, testified at trial about how that conversation went. He said that when he broke her the news, Skyler just kept saying that she could not have this baby. She was adamant about no one knowing she was pregnant. Dr. Andrew said that he then did an ultrasound to confirm the pregnancy. Now, the reason they even did the pregnancy test, of course, is because when you're going to prescribe birth control, you want to make sure they're not already pregnant. So that's how she found out. But then the ultrasound was to confirm the pregnancy. Dr. Andrew said that sometimes he does this to allow the expecting mother to hear the heartbeat, which can sometimes help people to accept that they're pregnant. But Skyler was still upset after the ultrasound and kept repeating that she cannot have a baby because she's going to college in the fall. He assured her that just because she has a baby doesn't mean that she has to keep it or raise it. There are so many other options for her. He told her to please call him if she had thoughts of harming herself or the baby, but she never followed up with him, despite him trying to get a hold of her multiple times after that appointment. In the days following this appointment, Skyler told no one of her pregnancy. She was determined to keep the secret from everyone, including her boyfriend at the time. She had even lied to him, telling him that she had cramping due to her period, even though she knew she didn't have a period. No one in her life even suspected she was pregnant because she was still so small. She had tried on her tight red prom dress all the way back in February, 6 months into her pregnancy, and that same dress still fit her by May, just days before she gave birth. Then, just 2 days after attending prom with her boyfriend, Skyler secretly gave birth to her daughter in the bathroom. She did it alone without waking up her parents or brother. She then grabbed the newborn and smothered her to avoid making any sounds. She then carried the baby into the backyard where she then buried her. The prosecution pointed out how even though she initially tried saying the baby was a stillborn, she did ultimately admit that her baby may have been alive for a few minutes after the birth and that she may have accidentally killed her by squeezing her too hard. She then tried to burn the body to do some sort of cremation, but the prosecution argued that this was actually an attempt to conceal the evidence rather than trying for a cremation. Then the prosecution discussed text messages between Skyler and her mother the day after she gave birth. In that text, Skyler texted her mom saying, "I'm literally speechless with how happy I am. My belly is back. OMG. I am never, ever, ever letting it get like this again. You're about to see me look freaking better than before. OMG." In the weeks that followed, the prosecution said that she regularly texted her mother about her body and weight, with her mom encouraging her to lose weight, exercise, and restrict her eating. About 10 days after giving birth, Skyler told her mom that her stomach was shrinking and that she had lost 20 pounds. Her mom said, "I could cry. You are my hero." Yes, Skyler struggled with an eating disorder, but it appears that her mom encouraged it. Skyler wanted to be as skinny as possible because she wanted her mother's approval. This was something that had gone on for several years. The two regularly texted about Skyler's weight, and it was clear that Kim cared a great deal about Skyler being as skinny as possible. This was a family that was obsessed with outward appearances, and they would do anything to maintain a certain image. So yeah, Skyler hid her pregnancy to keep up with these expectations. There was also some evidence that Kim may have known about the pregnancy. Apparently, she received an email about the pregnancy, and Skyler tried telling her mom that it was just a mistake, that she wasn't actually pregnant. So I don't know if Kim believed her at that point or if she was just convinced because her daughter said so, but obviously, she had a belly and then all of a sudden lost it, and her mother noticed that, so she could have known, she may not have, based on how she interacted with Skyler after, this whole thing came out. It doesn't seem like she knew, but she could also be acting, or it could have just been confirmed. Maybe she was in denial, and once this all happened, it was more confirmed. Who really knows at this point? The prosecution then continued with their timeline, saying that by July 12th, 2017, Skyler returned to her gynecologist for a follow-up appointment. There, she saw another doctor, Dr. Casey Boyce, who inquired about her pregnancy. In response, Skyler started crying and said that she had it alone in her house and buried it in the backyard. Of course, Dr. Boyce was stunned. Skyler went on to say that no one else knew about what happened, that Dr. Boyce was the only soul who knew. She explained that she cleaned everything up, buried her in the backyard, and that no one ever even knew she was pregnant. Skyler asked Dr. Boyce not to tell anyone, but after the appointment, she consulted with Dr. Andrew, and together, they did decide to notify police. Then, as we know, police followed up with Skyler, found the body, and sent her to the medical examiner. Again, the ME said that she couldn't determine whether the baby was born alive or not, and didn't know the cause of death, but still felt that it was a homicide. They argued that Skyler Richardson murdered her baby because she didn't want to raise a child. She had too much to look forward to. She didn't want anyone to know about the pregnancy because she too wanted to keep up with outward appearances. So, when she gave birth, she smothered her baby and buried it in the backyard. Then she told everyone that she was already dead when she was born to avoid getting in trouble. On the other hand, the defense argued that Skyler gave birth to a stillborn that night. Yes, she was in denial about the pregnancy, but when she gave birth, she only realized what happened after the baby arrived. It's not like she went to the bathroom knowing the baby was coming. The baby was born without the umbilical cord attached, and the baby was already pale white. She grabbed the baby out of the toilet to check on her, but realized there was no sign of life. So she went to the backyard where she buried her in a grave. She put flowers over her body and made sure to mark it so that she could visit the baby when she felt she needed to. She didn't just throw her baby away like trash. She was trying to do the right thing by burying her. The defense reminded the jury that Skyler has had a severe eating disorder from the time she was 12. After finding out she was pregnant, she was in denial. And once again, even if she was experiencing symptoms that confirmed she was pregnant, it wasn't out of the ordinary for Skyler. They also said that women who have such eating disorders are at higher risk of having a stillborn. They said that yes, Skyler was afraid of what her family would think if they knew she was pregnant. She was embarrassed to tell them what happened after she birthed a stillborn. So yes, she wanted to keep it to herself, but that didn't mean she killed her baby. They emphasized that during her first interview with police, she repeated the sentiment that she didn't kill her baby. The only time she admitted that she killed her baby was after being hounded for an hour by investigators. They asked her numerous times if she burned the baby's body, and she had said no 17 times until after they suggested that she tried cremating her. They were the ones who suggested that the baby made a gurgling sound when she was born because that's common. There were many times in the interviews when the investigators suggested certain things to Skyler, and only then did she admit to it. She was pressured into these confessions, so they're unreliable. They also pointed to the medical examiner's findings that they could not determine whether the baby was born alive or not, so there was no reason she should have determined that the manner of death was homicide. She came to that conclusion based on Skyler's confession, not based on any scientific findings. They also discredited the whole idea of finding her bones charred. They said that that's just simply not true. They even said that the medical examiner wasn't positive of these findings either, so this was just such a loose thing that could not be confirmed. So they said that really the bones were not charred and it was just a false finding. After each side made their arguments, they made their closing statements and the jury was off for deliberations. And after just 4 hours of deliberation, they came back and actually found Skyler not guilty on charges of aggravated murder and involuntary manslaughter, but they did find her guilty of abuse of a corpse.
Would the defendant please rise? With regard to count 1, we, the jury in the above captioned case, find the defendant, Brooke Skyler Richardson, not guilty of the offense of aggravated murder, and there appear to be 12 jury signatures affixed. Verdict form 2, involuntary manslaughter. We, the jury in the above captioned case, do hereby find the defendant, Brooke Skyler Richardson, not guilty of the offense of involuntary manslaughter. Count 3, child endangerment. We, the jury, find the defendant, Brooke Skyler Richardson, not guilty of child endangerment. It does say we further find the defendant did not cause serious physical harm to the alleged victim, but that finding is not necessary as a matter of law. Verdict form number 4, we, the jury in the above captioned case, find the defendant, Brooke Skyler Richardson, guilty of the offense of abuse of a corpse. Ladies and gentlemen, are those the verdicts of the jury? Yes, sir. You may be seated.
After hearing this decision, the judge made his feelings well known. He believes that if Skyler made different choices during and after her pregnancy and delivery, that Annabelle would still be here. He thinks that sometimes people don't really consider how valuable life is when making decisions in cases like this, and he thinks that throughout this case, Skyler has shown a grotesque disregard for life. He is disappointed that certain things were left out of the trial, leaving the jury unable to consider those factors in their decision. But at the end of the day, she was acquitted by a jury of her peers, so there's nothing else that can be done. So for the charges of abuse of a corpse, she was sentenced to 7 days behind bars, which she had already served during the whole process, so she was given credit for that. Then she was sentenced to 3 years community service.
Ms. Richardson, you get the last word in all of this. Is there anything that you want to tell me before I impose a sentence?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would do anything and above that you ask, and I understand. And I just wanted to say how sorry I was. I can sometimes be selfish, but I would like to think that I've become better in the knowledge that I've upset everyone and hurt so many people with what I've done. And I'm forever sorry, and I'm so sorry. I'm really, really sorry, and I understand. And thank you.
Ms. Richardson, we've been living with this case now for over 2 years. Actually, part of it is still in the Supreme Court, even as we speak right now. And I've always sort of thought of this case, Ms. Richardson, as a story of 2 little girls, Skyler Richardson and Annabelle Richardson. And, you know, I have a daughter about your age, Ms. Richardson, and I have a granddaughter about the age that Annabelle would be right now. The jury found that the state did not prove that you were guilty of killing your baby, either intentionally by way of aggravated murder or recklessly by the involuntary manslaughter. But in all of this mess that we have with this case, I think what often gets overlooked, Ms. Richardson, is just how precious life is. Your life, Annabelle's life, life is precious, and it should be protected, and it should be guarded in all respects. And I have reviewed all of the expert reports in this case. I listened to the expert's testimony. I firmly believe, Ms. Richardson, in fact, I know in my heart that if you would have made different decisions in this case, Annabelle would be here today. And I know that might be difficult for you to hear. Some people are inclined to think to themselves, you know, this is America. We kill unborn babies every day. But I don't look at it that way, Ms. Richardson. And the law does not allow me to consider the acts that you took prior to giving birth. But I think that your choices before birth, during birth, and after show a grotesque disregard for life. And I think when I look at this case, that to me is what offends the community sensibilities. But because of policy decisions that are beyond my purview, the jury was not permitted to consider those things, and neither am I. So I don't hold those things against you in the sentencing. I'm going to order as a term of your community control that you spend 7 days in the county jail. I'm going to credit you the 7 days that you have already done, which means that you are going to be going home today.
And that's where the case sits. According to the family, Skyler continues to struggle with her eating disorder to this day. Life has gotten significantly harder for them as they are surrounded by a community who believes that Skyler killed her baby. But they simply don't think their daughter is capable of that. Nevertheless, this continues to be a point of contention for many people, and there are people who believe both sides. I do personally believe that the baby was born alive. I think she hid her pregnancy because, again, she didn't want to get in trouble. She didn't want to disappoint her family. She didn't want her life to be ruined. She clearly isn't mentally healthy, and I think that in desperation, she either squeezed the baby too hard or put her hand over her mouth to stop her from crying and breathing. I don't think that she did this out of malice or because she's evil, but I do wish she had been held accountable for these actions. But at the same time, I understand how the jury came to their decision. The prosecution simply did not have enough proof to concretely say that the baby was born alive and that Skyler killed her. But that is where the case sits, and now I want to hear what you all think. Do you think Skyler killed her baby, or was she a stillborn? Why do you think she hid her pregnancy instead of telling her parents? And what do you think of her mother seemingly encouraging her eating disorder? And if you were on that jury, do you think you would have found her guilty, or would you have acquitted her? Let's discuss this and any other thoughts you have in the comments below. If you like this video, please make sure to go ahead and leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I put out new true crime and mystery videos every single week. Don't forget to turn the notification bell too on so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. All will be linked down below. And if you have any case suggestions, please make sure to fill out the Google form, which is also listed down below. With that, I hope you guys have an amazing week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.